Hello and welcome to Hot Take Wednesday. All four of us are back at it again. There's no episode last week. It was pretty shitty. You didn't miss out on much, let's all be honest. But this week we got spicier takes. We got more Kramer keeps trying to talk over me. We got more camaraderie. I can't say the fucking
camaraderie.
Word.
Camaraderie? Are you trying to be communist?
Glad I can edit all this out if I wanted to.
Nope. But you shouldn't.
You know what? Whose take should we get out of the way first? Let's go with the one I'm going to disagree with the most, and that's Tony's.
It's because it's the only good take.
Go ahead.
So brave.
So my take is that Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen score more points than Baker Mayfield by the end of the year.
Combined?
No, each individually, believe it or not.
So,
Pretty much everyone besides Rosen and Darnold are already there, so halfway right.
Yeah.
well, here's the thing. The reason I'm disagreeing with that is throw Lamar and Josh Allen out of the window. Of course they're going to score more. I think they're going to be top 5 by the end of the season. But Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold, you know, one of them might do it, but the chances of them both outscoring Baker, in my opinion, are really small. I think Baker ends up, this game was horrible. If he doesn't have a bounce-back game against Seattle, I'll be more inclined to agree with you. He definitely doesn't have an easy schedule whatsoever. He really has struggled in the primetime games this year, more so than the other games.
I mean, he struggled every game besides maybe one.
Well,
So-
Baltimore, he killed it, in my opinion. Also, one of those interceptions in the red zone was supposed to be a touchdown. It wasn't his fault.
I thought he was throwing it into just the grass, but okay.
I can see Sam Darnold doing it. I guess, it's not the craziest take ever. I highly doubt it. I think Baker's too talented.
Yeah, I think Baker will turn it around. I mean, I guess I could see it happening just because I do think that if the Browns are going to win games, I think they should rely a little bit more heavily on Nick Chubb, since it's obvious that their pass blocking is pretty bad and their run blocking has been pretty good so far this season. But yeah, seeing the two, again, guaranteed, but Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold doing it. Sam Darnold's got a pretty...
He's got 45
Deep.
points he needs to make up.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's not too much, but it does seem tough for all four of them to do it,
I believe.
AJ, any
So you
comment?
said Sam Darnold,
Pretty
Josh Rosen.
Pretty much all the first-round rookie quarterbacks from last year.
Man, I don't. I love the thought of it. It's very spicy. I like whenever we get these takes that are very hot and we have some disagreement. And there's definitely the world of possibilities where it happens because Baker just had an awful, awful game against San Francisco, who might actually have a very fucking good defense when it's all said and done. But no defense is legitimate, and I kind of agree with that
There
halfway.
is legit defenses. I'm not going to get into that this episode. Continue.
Okay. That defense is pretty good. And the thing is, I don't know if Baker turns it around while Freddie Kitchens is still calling plays. I think if Todd Monken starts calling the plays, then we can, maybe then you might need to retract that take a little bit. But until then, that's totally plausible. But I think that something needs to change in Cleveland, obviously. And I don't think it's the guys that are on the field playing the damn game. They need to. I think that a change in play calling would do wonders for that offense, and I think fantasy owners should be keeping an ear to the streets on any sort of rumblings that we can hear on that, because that would be huge.
If you gave me Jay Gruden and Trent Williams, I think that offense, I think they win the division. Because a big part of it is something, I'll be honest, as someone who's a huge fan of Baker, I wasn't expecting him. is just having so much trouble with a bad offensive line. I thought he'd be able to handle that, and it's
Me too.
clearly he can't. So, like, we've seen what he did last year when the pocket's clean. Like, he was one of the best quarterbacks when he's not under pressure last year. So give him a great left tackle, and then I honestly feel like Jay Gruden's actually a pretty damn good offensive-minded coach. But
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I think part of the problem too is that he hasn't had the easiest matchup so far, and the next couple weeks aren't really that much better either. He's had to play Tennessee, who has a pretty solid defense. The New York Jets have a pretty solid front four that can cause some problems, especially with the shitty line, but he did pretty well in that game. The Rams defense, obviously their front four is terrifying just because of Aaron Donald.
nah, the Rams defense sucks, so you can't give
Yeah,
that
but-
one to him. Everyone's destroyed the Rams.
Yeah, they're bad, but if you have a bad offensive line
Yeah,
against
okay,
Aaron
okay.
Donald, you're fucked. Baltimore, their defense is pretty bad, but he did pretty good against them. San Fran is a pretty good defense, did horrible. Seattle next week, I think, is a pretty easy matchup, but then he goes up against New England, which is awful. Denver is blah. I mean, it's like a pretty okay matchup. Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and then his
And then
schedule
it's
starts-
clear.
yeah, and then it gets a little bit clearer. I mean, Pittsburgh has shown it has a pretty good defense,
Yeah.
They do.
but he plays them twice more. But then, I mean, it's Miami, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Arizona, Baltimore, Cincinnati. So I think he's going to come on hot in the last couple games.
It's really unfortunate that Cincinnati's 17 and Baltimore's 16 and not
Yeah.
flipped.
Right? Oh, hate
Alright.
that.
All right, I'll go next. My hot take this week is that, unfortunately for general management, I think Miami wins this coming game against the Redskins. I don't think the interim head coach, who, funny enough, was the interim head coach when John Gruden got fired way long ago, is any good. I think that team is kind of just given up more so than the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins, coming off this bye week and the way Josh Rosen's kind of played, they're like, why don't we try 1 week against this horrible Redskins team and just win once this year? I'm not sure if the coaches will sabotage the game and they end up losing it in the end, but my point here is I think Rosen has a good game. I think Preston Williams and Devontae Parker both have, wide receiver 2-3 type games, and I think Kenyon Drake gets 15 points. I think they end up doing fine against the Redskins. Again, I could see the coaching staff purposely throwing the game at this point because they want that first overall pick. But it's a great matchup, and the Redskins are not only are they trash, they don't have a head coach and they're trash. And I think none of the players on that team are motivated to play. Somehow less motivated than the players on Miami at this point.
Because it's been longer since they completely tanked it, I guess.
Yeah.
I think this is going to happen, but Miami's defense is pretty bad. The Redskins' defense is pretty bad. Both offenses are horrible, so, it's probably going to be, well, we'll assume it's going to be a shit show, but watch it be like a shootout between two crappy teams.
Which would
vying
be
for
obviously
the-
best case scenario. Is an
Yeah.
exciting game, of course.
Yeah, it possibly could be an exciting game. Is this in Miami or is it?
Yeah, the Miami are 3.5-point dogs at home.
They're home dogs?
Yeah, 3.5.
Wow.
I guess
You have to remember,
the
this
Redskins'
team...
defense is a little bit better than the Dolphins' defense.
Yeah, the Dolphins' defense is... They have one NFL caliber player currently playing on their roster. One. Everybody else I don't think would make the other 31 teams. And that's Xavier Howard.
I was going to say.
On offense, it's another start. The line's not good. But, Preston Williams is a decent player. Devontae Parker, I don't get it. He
As
only
much as we
can
hate
make-
him in fantasy, but he's not bad.
Yeah, and I think Josh Rosen's a great quarterback, and the poor kid's I hopefully he gets one more chance after this somewhere.
I think he's done all right so far.
If the team has dropped in his 2 games, I think it was 16 passes, and that's
absurd.
And he has a total of 28 incomplete. So it's more than half of his incompletions are drops. And if you watch the game, it's not off the fingertips on not a great throw. He drops it in the bucket for Preston Williams and Devontae Parker, and they're just nah, I'm okay. I don't want this fucking ball. Or
That one with
Caleb
Devontae
Balaj.
Parker where he dropped it. I think it was against the Cowboys before or whatever, where he was just wide open. And he just sits there and claps his hands. It's like, bro, use those hands.
Balaj just had 2 balls go off his helmet while looking at Rosen, and Kenyon Drake's had 1 go off his face mask through his hands. It's embarrassing. Like, I don't know how else to put it. But
Balaj also just like dodged like 2 passes, so.
Oh yeah, the one he ducked on. I mean, Rosen had like the worst offensive line in football last year with a horrible coach, the worst offensive coordinator in the game, and then this year they trade every possible tool he could use, and also the coach is not good. At least the offensive coordinator. But anyway, that's my.
Yeah, but I agree with you though. I agree. I think that especially with the wide receivers, I think both Preston Williams and Devontae Parker are very interesting plays in DFS this week because they air it out in Miami. I mean, it's not successful, but their average depth of target in Miami is like top 5, I believe, in the NFL. It's up there. They sling it. And I think that with how porous the Washington defense is, I think there's totally a world where both of those guys have, double-digit plus games on Sunday. So I like them this week.
Yeah. And if you would have told me Landon Collins would have made the New York Giants look smart about not signing him, I would have said you're an idiot last year. That was for sure not expected.
I mean, he's played okay. I think everyone else around him is just,
He's had 1 or 2. There's been a couple of plays I've seen highlight on Twitter where he looked awful, and obviously that's nitpicking, or cherry picking. But it's still he just doesn't look himself.
Yeah.
All right, Kramer, go ahead.
All right. So my take, after the return of Tevin Coleman this week, I think Tevin Coleman will up my ante a little bit. I was going to say top 15, but ends up a top 12 back. So an RB1 by the end of the season. I just think that 49ers offense, it's going to be a little bit harder now with Juszczyk. Now that I say that, thinking of Juszczyk being out might make me feel more comfortable saying 15 again. But they've just been able to run the ball on absolutely everyone. They've had running back trios and using different people in different areas. I think once Tevin Coleman is fully back this week, because I still think everyone thought he was going to be limited in this game. He didn't even really fully practice until halfway through the week. I think by the time it gets to a couple games down the road, he's going to be carrying about 60-70% of the balls, be out there for 60-70% of the snaps. Breida's going to be the only other back worth having there. And I think Breida has shown a little bit in his past that he's a little bit fragile and hasn't been able to stay on the field for full games. He plays through every injury, but playing at under 100% is going to get you behind Tevin Coleman. But yeah, that offensive line has just looked amazing in the last couple of games. And I think if one back were to take the large majority of that work, I think they're going to be a number 1 back.
Yeah, I think it's so fun to watch the Niners run the fucking football. They do it better than anybody in the league. And they don't even have that many weapons outside of, when you look at their offense, it doesn't appear to be super imposing. It's George Kittle. Dante Pettis ran the most snaps out of any wideout this week, and you wouldn't know it because he had nothing to show for it. And Marquise Goodwin and is Deebo Samuel healthy right now? Who do they have? And yet it's they just can't stop the run, and they're doing it against decently stacked boxes. Shout out Baldy's breakdowns. He was breaking it down today on Twitter actually, 8-man boxes, and just making Cleveland look fucking foolish. So I'm definitely much higher on Coleman than I was preseason. I don't know that I would go as far as you did, saying top 12 or top 15, just because of the way they split those carries up. But, any running back for the Niners is going to have a field day if they continue to block how they have been. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
If you talk about favorable schedules, we were talking about how New England has the easiest schedule. The 49ers have the easiest rushing schedule, I think, I've ever seen. They played Tampa, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, all of which have had struggles stopping the run, especially since
Tampa does not have a problem stopping
Tampa's
the
been pretty
run.
good.
Oh no,
Tampa is one of the strongest run defenses in the league.
you're correct, and that's the one game they scored no points on the ground. So, but I mean, the Rams, they have a decent front. Washington, Carolina, Arizona, Seattle, Arizona, Green Bay, Baltimore, New Orleans, Atlanta, LA Rams. I don't know.
The worst matchup is obviously the Saints first week of playoffs, but besides that, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore being healthy might be different, but like I said, Green Bay's run defense is horrible, and I know for sure the 49ers won't make the same mistake Dallas made this week and pass the ball at all. It's not impossible. I would not bet on it. I think the split is just going to be too much to carry either of these running backs in the top 12. I think this year we're actually seeing a revival, a little bit of kind of like having that workhorse back. You have guys like CMC, Le'Veon Bell, Fournette, Kamara, because Murray sucks so bad. Where it's just they're getting so many snaps. And a lot of those guys are very talented. But those guys are basically locked in. Nick Chubb's basically locked in my mind. Aaron Jones, because of his touchdown potential, and Jamal Williams not being healthy. I don't know. I can't see him sneaking into the top 12. There's too many guys I like above him.
I think the touchdown upside could get him in there.
Yeah, I mean, he only played 34% of snaps in this game and had 16 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown.
I'd like to see the
so
snap
I think
count.
once he's going to be up in this, I could see him, I think in the preseason they were expecting him to be kind of their main guy, have about 65% of the snaps. I mean, that's going to be a lot of points.
It's more of,
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the current top 12, you have McCaffrey's going to stay there. Dalvin Cook's going to stay there. Eckler drops out. Aaron Jones, I think, stays there. Chubb stays there. Ingram, maybe. Kamara, David Johnson, Fournette, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Zeke. Like, all those guys, to me, I don't see Coleman outscoring them. And then there's guys that I think probably outscore him rest of the season still is like Gurley, Marlon Mack, Chris Carson, James Conner now that Samuels is hurt, Le'Veon Bell. Like, there's actually quite a few startable running backs this year.
To me, they've all been fucked.
Well, I guess you didn't draft like I did, so it's understandable.
I mean, the
Drafted
thing I would
Zeke and
argue
he's
with that
fucking,
list,
10. The fuck, man?
the thing I would argue with that list that you named about the guys that you don't think will drop out, I don't think Aaron Jones stays up there. I think once Jamal Williams comes back, it's going to be the same old shit. It's going to be frustrating, and we're not going to see another Aaron Jones 40-point game while Jamal Williams is active and playing, like, again.
I mean, when Jamal Williams was playing, you take out Chicago, which is obviously always a horrible matchup, then Minnesota 23 points, Denver 15, Philadelphia 15. Like, he wasn't bad.
Yeah, no, he wasn't bad for sure.
And it's
I just think that it's frustrating having Jamal out there taking his opportunities, taking his gerb.
It's definitely frustrating, but I don't think it's going to affect. Aaron Jones is probably, if you're talking about rest of the season, you're not including what has gone up to thus far. I think him and Coleman are pretty neck and neck. Those are the guys you're kind of looking at.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, AJ, with your hot take.
Yeah, so hot take 1A is, and this is just a joke, but O.J. Howard is going to catch 15 balls next week. He was at the Houston Astros game against the Rays, and he caught a foul ball, like, beautiful catch, arms extended, and pumped up the crowd after. I mean, you feed him the fucking ball, Bruce. What are you doing? Let him run a route or two. So that's hot take 1A. Hot take 1B is Le'Veon Bell from here forward finishes as a top 5 running back for the rest of the season, starting from here, not including all the other games that we've played with the insane point totals from here on out. With Darnold healthy, Le'Veon Bell finishes in the top 5. And a couple reasons why I think this. Number one, there's only 3 running backs that play more snaps than Le'Veon Bell does from a snap percentage standpoint. Christian McCaffrey won. Zeke has, in his last 2 games, has played a ton of snaps, And I believe there's one more. Sorry, offhand, I'm not sure who it is. I forgot. But Le'Veon Bell plays a ton of snaps. Not only does Le'Veon Bell play a ton of snaps, Le'Veon Bell gets a ton of targets too. He's seen so far, even without Darnold in there, he's seen 9, 10, 4, and 9 thus far. That's a ton from a running back. And being on the field so much, he gets a ton of rushing attempts as well. 17, 21, 18, and 15. And like I said, he never leaves the field. And with Sam Darnold out there, I think that's going to bode extremely well for Le'Veon Bell instead of having Falk back there. I think the buy low window was definitely there, but I think most owners were savvy enough not to get rid of him. And the third factor, of course, that you always have to consider with projecting fantasy players is the schedule. And he still has Miami twice on the schedule. He still gets to face Oakland, which I don't think is very good. Cincinnati. He gets Washington as well. Yeah, and the Giants. He has a lot of favorable matchups left on his schedule. And I think just the way that I've seen Le'Veon Bell used thus far and the way I've seen him play, he is going to put up some monster numbers. He only has one touchdown in the year thus far. And I mean, it's because of his situation. And it's about to improve, and he's about to get through some of the easiest games of his schedule.
Yeah. He could probably do it.
Yeah.
The game he had with Sam Darnold against a really good Buffalo defense, he had 20 points. So, aside from the New England game, I don't see any of these matchups him really where you wouldn't even think about not starting him even if you had really, really good players behind. So, yeah, no, he probably gets top 5. Not really a hot take, AJ. That's my criticism.
I was speaking to a different Matt from pre-show.
Okay, so my criticism of Le'Veon Bell preseason, where I was calling him my bust, he is one of the busts that has not worked out for me, or the bust who has not worked out for me.
But I thought you drafted like a god, dude. I did draft like a god. I thought all you do was hit.
I did hit. I just hit on better players than Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell's so good. Anyway, I thought Adam Gase was going to be an idiot and not have him on the field 100% of the time. And Adam Gase said, nah, you get to play 100% of the time. I just hate Kenyon Drake. So, there you go.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it goes hand in hand with my take to a certain point because I need Sam to score some points.
I think with Sam back, that offense is actually pretty good. I think Robbie Anderson is good. Le'Veon Bell is a running back one. Herndon's, he is my tight end DFS play. He's at like 3. Him and Tevin Coleman. Chris Herndon's at like $3,000, and then Tevin Coleman's at $4,400. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because Coleman played Monday night, so they didn't have the dollars appropriately adjusted for him. They don't take into account those games, but still, that's against the Rams though. I don't know. That's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know. Top 5's always really hard to get into, obviously, because there's only 5 of them. But his usage has been, I mean, the first game was pretty entertaining to watch for him. He didn't have a great yards per carry, but had a ton of targets. Next week had a ton of targets too. He's averaged about like 8 targets a game. And with Sam Darnold being able to actually hopefully move the ball a little bit better, those targets will become more valuable because there'll be less people to come up and tackle him within a couple yards of the line. And I mean, he had 100% of the snaps against Buffalo, 100% of the snaps against New England too. I think with Sam Darnold back there, they've probably been like, I feel like it's probably a good idea to like have been saving him recently. While,
right? I mean, like, you know that these games are a loss. Like, why make him do all this? He's doing too much. Like, it's honestly, that's the one thing that I think that you could take away from my argument is that he's getting used a little too much. And I mean, you get into some bleak, analytics and numbers when you talk about usage for a running back, but he's in dangerous territory. But I think that I'm not, banking on that, and I'm not betting on that or anything. And so I think that just with the take that, okay, so if you think Le'Veon Bell, and I do think that Le'Veon Bell is going to finish top 5 for the rest of the season, you can look at some guys who have been extremely hot and try to trade for Bell if you agree. I mean, if you think he's going to finish top 5, you've only got 4 guys that I would consider, untouchable for him. And I would maybe go a little bit beyond that just because, I mean, you do get a little dicey once you get to that number 5 spot. But, like, other than, like, Saquon, Dalvin Cook, Kamara, and Zeke. And McCaffrey, of course. Yeah, those 5 I would consider untouchable. But beyond that, I think that you can probably get Bell from an owner with any guy other than that.
All right, let's try it right now. I'm going on to my Yahoo league. I'm going to try and trade for Bell with my stack team. See what happens.
Who has Le'Veon Bell in our league? Trade for him right now.
So, I mean, like Aaron Jones, you think you can get Bell for Aaron Jones?
Probably. I'm not trading
I
Aaron
don't
Jones
think
for
so.
Le'Veon Bell.
I would.
I'd rather have Bell
I would
than
do that at
Jones.
the drop of a hat.
How about what if I try Keenan Allen and James Conner for Le'Veon Bell?
Don't do that.
Why not?
Keenan Allen.
But my other wide receivers.
James Conner.
But my other wide receivers are Will
What?
Fuller, Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Larry Fitzgerald, Josh Gordon, AJ Green.
Chill on that.
Oh.
Don't do that.
So you think James Conner and Keenan Allen are better than Le'Veon Bell? But you're saying Le'Veon Bell's top 5.
What are you? Quit trolling me.
I'm
Quit
not
trolling
I'm
me
not
on
trolling
live.
you. Keenan Allen, when Melvin Gordon's on the field, he averages I think 10 less fantasy points a week. It's gone. I'm trying to get rid of him in all my leagues.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
He's useless. He's a wide receiver too now.
Dude,
There's my hot take.
It's Keenan Allen, man. Don't
And
don't
then
do
James
that.
Conner. What do you expect from James Conner? You can't even name the quarterback, and you're a fan of the team.
Don't ever say I can't name Delvin, aka Duck Hodges. Don't ever say that I can't name Quack Hodges, who is better than Mason Rudolph. Don't say that. Don't even say that, bro. And the fact that Jalen Samuels is out for 4 weeks, James Conner, it's about to be his show. Don't even say that to me.
Okay, you know what? I'm not trading.
I just saved you. I just saved you
Alright.
right there.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Just do the trade now, Matt. You have to.
Yeah.
So like Aaron Jones, that we're getting a little dicey there. Here's I think two of the hottest ones. Let's start off David Johnson for Bell. Who says no? Or if you're would you do it? Would you do it? If
I'd rather have
somebody's-
David Johnson, I think.
I'd rather have Bell. But I mean, I wouldn't. If I had him, I'm just gonna stay put because it's like I don't want to.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty even move.
It's a very even
in my
move.
mind. So, but I would probably lean.
It's
towards
lateral.
Bell.
I would consider it diagonal because I want Bell, but I can.
Yeah.
That's a pretty lateral. And then another lateral one that I believe,
What about
Leonard Fournette or Le'Veon Bell.
Bell,
I'd
easy.
take Bell.
Fournette?
Damn, dude, Fournette is getting hella targets.
Joe Mixon?
but he's
Joe
gonna
Mixon
wear
or
down-
Bell?
Dude, what? Are you kidding
Bell.
me?
And
I'll take Bell over two
Whoa,
Joe Mixons.
Joe Mixon and Emmanuel Sanders or Bell?
Probably still Bell.
Bell.
Okay.
That's a
Not
good
that
one, though.
trade.
That's pretty good.
We're just hashing
Yeah.
out trades now.
All right.
Right?
We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching Hot Take Wednesdays. It's a nice chill time with us, and your bros. Crack open a cold one. I don't fucking know what I'm saying anymore. We just hope you enjoyed the goddamn episode. Make sure you subscribe. And stay tuned for the Fantasy Boys recap tomorrow. And then make sure you don't miss DFS Saturdays. I think AJ and I have been making money. Tony's losing money, so you just know who to listen to. And our live stream. I think that's our best content. It's always a fun time. You can meet some other fantasy players, ask us questions live. Yeah. So we'll see you guys then.
See you.
Peace.